Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Sim. Hope you are great. Same video talking about how why people are giving grace in literally everything they do, and that is absolutely 100% correct. People that look like me are not giving any grace, both male and female. I've been saying this here that they do not think that Black people deserve any grace or deserve anything good and all that. But grace is something that when something happens, they have to check them if they have mental health and all that, and use that mental health, because that mental health has always been something that they've always used to tell people, tell you that, yeah, whatever that he did was worth doing, because he's been struggling. And when you see someone that look like me that is mentally struggling, that is not accepted, because as someone that look like me, you are not supposed to struggle. White men are part of the problem that is going on in this country, because they do not think that people that look like me deserve anything great. That's why they came out in mass to vote for who they voted for. Meaning they are okay with what is going on. It doesn't matter if other people are experiencing it, as long as we are not experiencing it. But the worst part, the most unfortunate part now is that they did not expect that whatever that is going on right now will also hit them, but it's hitting them back to back. Let's get into this video.
Okay, let me do my final video on this, and then I'm going to move it along to the next topic. A lot of you want Black people to be the sacrificial lambs for whatever moral argument you're pretending to make, that you're pretending to be in favor of. You guys will afford racist, unapologetic racist white men a lot of grace that you would never afford Black people, and more specifically, Black women. I keep seeing this conversation about Charlie Kirk changing or evolving or becoming more pro-Palestine before he died. And a lot of people that were basically saying, oh, this is the reason why I like Charlie Kirk, because he started to wake up. It's so funny to me that you guys do that. It's hilarious that you guys do that. You're looking at Charlie Kirk, who was inarguably pro-Israel. And I want people to understand, specifically a lot of the white leftists that are trying to humanize Charlie Kirk and make it appear as if he was somehow a good person because he was changing his stance on Gaza. He wasn't evolving on the people in Gaza. He was evolving on his relationship with Israel. In the text message exchange put out by Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk said, in a nutshell, he was tired of being bullied by them. Well, he was talking about them because in the text exchange, he specifically mentioned that he was losing Jewish donors. He meant Jewish donors. Because these Jewish donors, in his words, wanted him to have unquestioned loyalty to the Israeli government and never question anything that they were doing. He really didn't give a shit about what was happening to the people in Gaza. It was all because he felt like he was being bullied. If they weren't bullying him, he would not have said any of that shit. If they were just paying him to put out pro-Israel propaganda, he would have kept doing it. And that's one of the things that really brings me back to the argument that I make constantly about the online left and how anti-Black a lot of you are. Because you are willing to make excuses or to afford grace to someone like Charlie Kirk, who inarguably put out pro-Israeli, anti-Palestinian content before he died. And all because you think or feel he was evolving on the issue because he was tired of being bullied by the Israeli government or by Jewish donors. You think that that racist ass white man is more deserving of grace than the Black women that went back to Starbucks and McDonald's after the election. Starbucks, one of the companies that you guys, love to smear, that has completely divested from the state of Israel since 2003. They don't give a dime to the Israeli government. There's not one Starbucks in Israel. They don't employ anyone in the state of Israel. In fact, the only money they give to people in that region are to the World Food Kitchen to feed hungry Gazans. And you're doing all of this from your iPhones. That's the other hypocritical thing. iPhone that employs hundreds of Israelis pays millions in taxes to be able to rent space for iStore and iDigital locations all across the state of Israel. All that money that they're paying, the millions of dollars that they pay to operate and to sell in Israel, going to the Israeli government that funds the IDF. But you're not protesting them. I'm never one of those people that tell Palestinians or try to lecture Palestinians into voting for the Democrats, because I understand why a lot of them don't. want to vote for the Democrats. If I were Palestinian, I don't know if I would vote for the Democrats, because both parties have actively helped the Israeli government, funded the Israeli government's military operations against their people. But I also understand why black people use harm reduction and risk analysis in this country, because we know that there's always going to be one party that's worse. You see, the problem with a lot of y'all is y'all don't believe that these two things can exist at the same time. And what a lot of you did the last election to specifically black people is you devoted a lot of time and energy to going into the comment section, primarily of black people, more specifically black women, and calling them genocide enablers and baby killers, because they understood that there was only one other party that could win. And that was either the Republican Party with Donald Trump or Kamala Harris and the Democrat. And consistently, black people told y'all that if we are unstable here, we cannot help people abroad because we're going to be too worried on our stability and safety here. You guys know that there's a difference between Republicans and Democrats. The fact of the matter is a lot of you don't care because you're white. And for a lot of you, it really, really doesn't matter who wins the election because you're white. And you live in blue states, so you know that you're going to be fine. And for a lot of you, you have privilege and money that insulates you from the fallout of a Republican or Donald Trump president. And that's why I have zero respect for a lot of you, specifically the I Am Blakeleys and the Corn Pops and all of these white leftists that are on this app. I despise every single one of you because you know exactly what you're doing and you know why you're doing it. You know why you're so comfortable, why you live in a blue state and not in the South. You don't have to worry about what's happening in these red states because you don't live there. Family members that are being impacted by red state policies, people in the LGBTQ communities, marginalized communities, immigrants that are being impacted by the fallout of red state policies. You don't have to fucking worry about that shit. Again, because you're insulated, because you're white, privileged, and a lot of you live in blue states. Again, zero respect for you. Boo, tomato.
They just want people here legally. That's a bunch of crap. They voted for a white man who's a felon, a rapist, a sexual abuser, who's a pedophile, who caused an insurrection, who cheats on his wife, tax fraud, asked for the unaliving of the Central Park Five, went into 15-year-old girls' locker rooms while they got undressed. Somehow, that's perfectly fine because nobody's perfect. But if you're brown and you've been here for 40 years, never committed a crime, raised your kids here, good neighbors, run businesses, own a house, somehow we're going to cheer it on. That's what this is about. That's what all of this is about. It's about young, insecure, little white men who think that their version of American exceptionalism, what they view as patriotism, freedom, if you would, FREEDUMB, is going away. Their version of white America, that's all this is. The media, the journalists, reporters, content creators, you're all either missing the point or you don't think it's sexy enough to get likes and views. I'm going to keep preaching this until y'all wake up. The white man gets a pass, just like the white man on January 6th, right? Where was Ahmaud Arbery's funeral? Where was George Floyd's special day of remembrance? But a racist white podcaster that supported a white supremacist president? He gets to go on Air Force 2. He gets a day of remembrance. He gets a special 1930-style Nazi rally in Arizona because he's a white man. That's what this is about. Until we accept that's what this is, then we're never going to fix the goddamn problem. This isn't about health care or taxes or tips or Democrat or Republican. It's about a white supremacist dumbass in the White House because too many people got triggered by a black man in the White House instead of picking their damn cotton. And they went to the plantation owner. And there was no way in God's earth they were ever going to vote for a black woman because she was too goddamn smart for their dumbass concepts of brains. Can we please stop the bullshit and actually address the problem with this country? Please, content creators, stop making stupid videos, mocking people. Parker, you dumbasses, stop fucking arguing with MAGA. Use your platform for good, or else you're part of the problem.
Not all MAGA are racist. I'm not just talking about the Republican Party, but I'm talking about those diehard MAGA people, those Trump people who will follow him off the edge of a cliff. What you mean not all of them are racist? Everything they believe in is deeply rooted in hatred and racism. The very reason they voted for Trump was because they thought they would be better off and black and brown people would be hurt more by his policies that he implement, which is embedded in racism. Everything about MAGA is racist. It's the only thing they're missing is they didn't put on the hoods. But guess what? They are openly racist. MAGA is a racist cult. Now I'll say it. Like, we don't have to skip around this anymore. Did I say the whole Republican Party? No. But if you voted for Trump, you still following Trump, and you call yourself a MAGA, then I call you a racist. Like, we're not going to tiptoe around this mess anymore. It is right in our face. Let's call an ace and a spade a spade. MAGA is a racist group. It's just being too charged up, and I'm not being even-handed in delivering this judgment. But is there anybody in the comments, left, right, middle, leaning, I don't care, that thinks that MAGA is not a racist group? Please put it in the chat.
How has your life improved since Donald Trump has gotten to office? I'm asking MAGA. I'm asking the far right. I'm asking conservatives. I'm asking white Christian nationalists. How has your life improved? What policies, and please don't mention the border. Please don't mention the border. What policies has this man put in place that has improved your life personally? That is the question I have to ask. And then once you answer that question, I want you to answer this question. How has Donald Trump attacked the less than 1% of transgender people in this country? How has that personally affected your life? How has it made your life better? And then I want you to answer this question. How has Donald Trump attacking immigrants in this country improved your life? What has improved in your life, your personal life, inside of your house? Has it changed your bills? Has it increased your pay? Has your health care improved? Has your retirement plan improved? Are you getting things built in your city better? Is food cheaper? Is gas cheaper? These are the questions I really want y'all to answer. Because if nothing has gotten better, why did you vote for him? Take the time. Answer the question.
Pay attention to who they want you to martyr, who they want you to celebrate, and who they want you to vilify. Pay very close attention. Colin Kaepernick taking a knee is politics should stay out of the NFL. A moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Well, that's just good old Americanism. Take stock in who they want you to martyr, who they want you to celebrate, and who they want you to vilify. A podcaster is somehow on the same level as a civil rights leader. And if you say otherwise, they will come for you and take your job and take your livelihood and send death threats after you. Pay very close attention to who they want you to martyr, who they want you to celebrate, and who they want you to vilify. Remember that. George Floyd was a career criminal, and we better remember that every single time we speak of him. But Charlie Kirk was a man of God, a man of Jesus. He led so many people to Christ. Pay very close attention to who they want you to martyr, who they want you to celebrate, and who they want you to vilify. Pay very close attention to it. Very close attention. If your name gets put out there because of something that you said about Charlie Kirk, well, that's accountability. But these people still also believe in cancel culture. They believe in that idea of dark humor. Translation, let me punch down. Let me talk about any minority group. Let me talk about disabled people. Let me talk about women. Let me talk about people in the LGBTQIA+. And if you call me out on it, you're trying to cancel me. Pay very close attention to who they tell you to martyr, tell you to celebrate, who to celebrate, and tell you who to vilify. Pay very close attention to it. This discourse around a podcaster advocating for violence and then violence happening to them is quite telling. It's quite telling. Because that podcaster's death has now got Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Erica Kirk talking about going to war with people except for the people that actually committed the crime. You notice they don't talk about that person very much? Haven't heard one person say they're going to war with the Goipers. But they damn sure can go to war with the trans people. They damn sure can go to war with gay folk. They damn sure can go to war with black folks. Pay very fucking close attention to who they tell you to martyr, who they tell you to celebrate, and who they tell you to vilify. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm making any of this shit up, you think I'm making any of it up, take a look at this. A conservative influencer was arrested in Portland. Trump was watching. As the president tries to send in the National Guard, a phalanx of conservative influencers is working to support his claim that Portland is burning. Nick Sorto, whatever the fuck his last name is, basically a podcast bro. Basically a podcast bro. Which is why I said we need to stop listening to these people in the first place. We definitely need to stop listening to these people in the first place. Because just like their idol, their king, their godchild on earth, Charlie Kirk, all these people want to do is push an agenda that centers mediocre white men. White men who have nothing going for them except for their hatred of everybody that is not a white man. They call this free press. But actual news organizations like NBC and CBS and MSNBC and things of that nature, they can't even get an interview with the president of the United States, but he'll watch these idiots. This is what I mean when I say, be very careful about who they tell you to martyr, who they tell you to who to celebrate, and who to vilify. This is America in 2025. This is America in 2025. The oligarchs are going to get everything that they want and then some. And they're going to have people like these fucking podcast bros who will turn people into their cheerleaders, if you will. And any sort of dissent, you know, like normal fucking people thinking normal fucking things about mediocre ass white men and everything that they don't bring to the table. Yeah, we're the bad guys. These are the same dumbass people that believe that Antifa has a fucking headquarter office in every goddamn state. Their grandfathers were Antifa, but they just don't want to acknowledge that. They want to use the lettering rather than using the wording, which is anti-fascist. Again, be very careful who they tell you to martyr, who they tell you to celebrate, and who they tell you to vilify. And it's awful fucking funny. Awful funny that now in death, all of the words that Charlie Kirk used were taken out of context and misconstrued, and we should watch the whole videos. Colin Kaepernick never got that. George Floyd never gets that. Breonna Taylor never gets that. Tamir Rice doesn't get that. Tatiana Jefferson doesn't get that. Sandra Bland doesn't get that. Eric Garner didn't get that. Freddie Gray didn't get that. Trayvon Martin didn't get that. And these people still don't get it. And I'm talking about literally still don't get it. But we're told to have reverence for a motherfucker that obviously didn't like anybody but white men. A man who in his life was as mediocre as humanly possible. And whose only claim to fame was that he went and debated kids on a college campus, never any adults, never in any adult areas, never taking on any adults, but damn sure being able to go and fucking debate college students, which by the way, it's awful funny too, because that man and his organization are now being celebrated. The fucking Secretary of Education in Oklahoma has to have a Turning Point USA chapter in every fucking school district. And if you don't, you risk accreditation and money. Be very careful who they tell you to martyr, who they tell you to celebrate, and who they tell you to vilify. Because what you're going to inevitably find out is that the ones they want you to vilify actually do have something to say that could actually help. And the ones they want you to celebrate, the ones that they want you to put on a pedestal, the ones they want you to turn into a martyr are some of the most horrible, do-nothing human beings on the face of the fucking earth. The only thing they have in common is the audacity of white male mediocrity. People like Pe0ple, people like Curtis Yarvin, people like Elon Musk, men who have only achieved one thing and one thing only, getting money, have never made a dent in anybody's life, but they're so fucking mediocre. That's why the tech bros are the way they fucking are. And now they're trying to run our government in the same way. That's why they'll tell you Colin Kaepernick taking a knee to stop the killing of unarmed people by the hands of police. Well, that's a bad thing. You shouldn't do that. Keep politics out of football. But several NFL teams gave a moment of silence to a fucking podcaster because they want you to celebrate him. They want you to see him as a martyr. And they want you to think that Colin Kaepernick and everything that Colin Kaepernick stands for is bad. They're telling you what to think. So think for yourself.
White men overwhelmingly love Trump because Trump is a symbol of lack of accountability. In the past 10 to 15 years, we've seen multiple social justice movements rising up, many of which have made men feel bad because it has shown them that there are consequences for their actions. Just look at how many men feel victimized when women talking about their sexual assault experiences. So scared of being accused of sexual assault, even though statistically their own rates of being sexually assaulted are actually far higher than the rates of them being falsely accused and convicted of sexual assault are. But what Donald Trump epitomizes is a lack of accountability or self-awareness. Love that. And so does Elon Musk. It really shows to them that you can be, in fact, a mediocre man. You can have everything you've ever wanted, and you can punish everyone else for not being a white man like you are. Because for most of these men, it's not about the price of eggs. It's never about the price of gas. For most of these men, it was about the fact that they didn't want to take accountability for their actions. They wanted everyone else to pay the price for their own.
I reject the notion that we have to become more palatable and nicer to former Trump supporters just so that we can form a coalition against Donald Trump. No. If you are feeling guilty, if you're feeling shame about your decisions in voting for Donald Trump 3 times in a row that has gotten us into this mess, that's on you to work out on your own. I am not here to make you feel better. Until I see true atonement and accountability from you, I will not form a coalition with you. You can get behind me and join in, but I'm not treating you like a comrade, a friend, someone that I can trust. And another thing I'm certainly never going to be caught doing is apologizing for the words that I have said about Donald Trump or Trump supporters. If I've hurt your feelings because of what I've said about Trump supporters, you need to sit with those feelings and try to figure out why they make you feel so bad. I don't get offended when people talk about schmazzies because I'm not one. I don't feel the need to be defensive about someone calling me a fascist because I'm not a fucking fascist. I will start to see you in a different light when you call me up and say, I realized that I made the wrong choice. I realized that my hate towards other people that are not like me have been fueling my decision making in the democratic process. And I'm going to be waiting around to the end of my days because that phone call will never come. For the most part, being a Republican means that you lack the ability to take accountability. Oh, are you offended at that statement? Maybe because it resonates. The Purple Revolution is bullshit because I'm not seeing enough Republicans get on this app, get on YouTube, go out on the street corner, whatever it is you want to do. Hire somebody to put a signal up in smoke that you acknowledge your wrongdoing. Y'all want to get mad when we're calling out the fact that the t-shirts that you still wear have insignia that are connected to far-right militant groups. And that's enough to make you say, well, you know what? I don't think I want to team up with y'all anymore. I still hate y'all's guts. Yeah, well, I guess the feeling's mutual if that's the case. I'm not going to apologize for calling you a fascist and a bigot if you continue to act like a fascist and a bigot and also not apologize for being a fascist and a bigot, and make earnest attempts to change your ways.
Yo, guys, I've been thinking, right, about MAGA, okay? You know, like, over half the country voted for this motherfucker, right? But I don't think they all really knew what they was voting for. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe like 15% of them motherfuckers, they MAGA. You know what I mean? I mean, just full-blown racist, you know? And then I think probably almost all the rest of them was either a combination of getting deceived by Trump or let down by the Democrat Party. Because, I mean, they was gaslighting like a motherfucker, guys. I mean, they really, really was. So I think a lot of them went with the T-Man because, like, well, they thought he could be lying. You know what I'm saying? They knew them other motherfuckers was lying. So they thought they was choosing the lesser of two evils. But they ain't know that they was getting gaslit by him, too. He was telling them what they wanted to hear. He was big upping them, the whites. You know what I mean? They don't never get no praise. They get bad PR. Deserved, but they get bad PR. So when he came through and he was like, you guys are the best, they're like, shit, us? What? Hey, I like that guy. He's got some good points. He didn't have any points. He does this when he meets people. If you notice when he meets celebrities, wow, look at you, big, strong guy. Hey, we need more people like you, you know. He just says something. Y'all are that simple that if somebody says something nice about you, you vote for them. That's dumb. But if that's the case, because see, the Democrat Party, they always say nice stuff about, you know, minorities, gays, all this shit, which is needed. You guys need good PR, you know, but they always say bad stuff about the whites. So that kind of pushed the whites over there. You know what I mean? So I don't think all of us are that bad. We all went to school together.
This is all I got from this video, and a very big shout out to the person that started this discussion. The truth is that you and I know that our grace is being given to every other person as long as you are a little bit lighter than people that look like me. From white people to other people, they are given grace. I have been saying this since several times, that grace, they don't give black people grace. They don't give black men and women grace. Black kids too. I remember bringing a video of a little young girl, 5 years, right? A few days ago. What happened to her by 3 little kids. They are not little because people that could do something like that are not that little, right? What did they do? They did something very heinous. The 10 years, God. But the 8 and 9 and 8 years, they said they are too small. But I didn't want to. I said what I said and stopped there. And then I watched the comment section. Comment section was like, you and I know that black kids have gotten worse than this. Black kids that are even younger, that they treated like adults, or they were like, judged like adults, right? So they are privileged with that grace, but my people are not privileged with that grace. That's why I do not take chances with them. The CK that they were, I heard Bishop Thomas talking about how they made the NFL, like, take a knee, why trying to, like, who was he? Who was CK? Because sometimes there are some things you look at, you are asking yourself, who was he when he was alive? He was just a racist. Because if I say he was not into government, he was not a prominent any government something, right? He was just a racist. You and I know. That demean people that look like me, both men and women, that did not think people that look like me deserve grace, deserve anything good, both LGBTQ, women's right, and all that. And he does not deserve to be idolized, not even for a second. I will not idolize him because there was nothing great about him. He never taught somebody any good thing and all that. And if you're part of the white people that go around saying he was such a good man, he always said ma'am to me, he respected me, he respected you because he probably knew you. Did he respect other people? Did he respect? Was he kind to other people? CK commanded a lot of money from the white nationals, right? And Colin did not generate money. And that is how they create things like this. Hypocrisy always reveal the lies, and that is on period. I don't know what anybody wants to tell me. But one thing, like, make America great, make America great. How great it is. Because your president can be saying the country is doing great. What's this man's name? J.D. Vance said that the country is struggling. Which one are we supposed to? Since they voted the man, what has changed? What really changed? What was that change they were looking forward to see? Has it changed? Did anything become better? And of course, no. Things are still the way it is, and even worse. The price did not come down. Groceries did not come down. Some of them cannot afford food. Next time, you already better be careful, man. I don't have time for these people. Bye for now.